Well, let's get right to it, okay? Miles Davis. I've been a fan of Miles Davis for as long as I've had a record player. Miles Davis is one of the greatest musicians and musical innovators in the history of this country. For 40 years, our guest today has been a star. He has been a leader who has defied category, and he has been an authority figure in music. And everybody has an opinion on Miles Davis. This is what Felicia Rashad told me about Miles Davis.
Well, he's my husband's favorite. He's my brother Tex's favorite. He's Bill Cosby's favorite. But Miles Davis is really my favorite.
All right, that's Felicia. Now, here's Miles Davis in action. And here's Miles Davis in person.
Right here.
I see you're still shopping at Brooks Brothers. Miles, I want to thank you very much for coming down to be with us on Time Out.
Oh,
How was the limo ride down here?
it was okay. I went to sleep.
Yeah?
I went to sleep.
Well, now that you're here, I thought maybe I'd ask you like the most important musical question I could ask you.
What?
What do you think of the Beach Boys?
Very funny, but let me drink some of this water.
You got your iced, I think it's iced tea. Iced tea or whatever you requested. Miles, you were either at the dawn or responsible for so many different interesting phases of American music. You know, the dawn of bebop, the birth of the cool, the quiet stuff with its tonality, Sketches of Spain, which many people say, you know, was like a harbinger of the whole new age, quiet new age music. Bitches Brew, which...
Wait. What did you say, Sketches of Spain?
Sketches of Spain. People, music critics have written that Sketches of Spain is like a...
No, they wouldn't.
I read it.
But critics, it's a Spanish album. We did a lot of research on it. It has nothing to do with, like improvising like we do today.
No.
It was, we got a lot of vamps from the Indians in South America. And we did flamenco music, which is like, it's like our blues, but it's Spanish. And Mexican, we did a Mexican folk song and a vamp from the Indians in South America. That's all it was.
Well, anyway, I mean, the importance that some critics are attaching to the album as an important album is that if you look at some of the stuff that's being done today, I mean, this whole series of records and cassettes that has that kind of feeling to it. And then Bitches Brew, which...
Those are entirely different, though.
I know, they're all
That's
different.
what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, I know. This is my question. I want to know whether or not you're, with Tutu, which I think is an excellent piece of work, you're defining a new phase. As each one of those other things allegedly defined a new phase. People categorize you in certain ways. You keep coming up with fresh stuff, never repeat yourself, and don't look back. So what would you say you're doing now?
Tutu is just like an advertisement, you know. We laid the track down and I played over it. But in person it's different. That's all the records are that we do. It's like, well, when you hear it, it's 100 times different, you know.
When you hear it in person.
Right.
Yeah.
But when I lay down anything on the cassette, it's like an advertisement of what we're going to do when we do a concert.
Yeah.
You know, it's not to be... It says, come to see us. That's what it does.
Well, yeah, speaking of that, coming to see, and I said to people, you know, a lot of people, maybe I've seen you a few times, I saw you at A.B. Fisher Hall and recently at Lehigh College in Bethlehem. I see a performer on stage who's moving around, he's having fun with the audience, you know, tickling a girl's head and stuff like that. But yet I say to people, Miles Davis, and what do they say? Miles Davis plays with his back to the audience. I mean, that's what people say about you. How did that start? And would you be more comfortable sitting with your back to the audience now?
Now, like in this room, it's different sounds in each part of this room. So I just walk around and pick up on the sound. It makes the trumpet sound.
Yeah.
What I want to hear. If it's a sound, if it's a space here, and I can play a certain note that I like, a passage, and it would sound good to me, rather than over here. I'll walk over here.
You move to that space.
Right.
So, I mean, the origin of this is not, I don't care about the audience, it's the sound that you're looking for on stage. I mean, is that basically the origin of that whole thing?
That's it.
When I asked to have a trumpet here, not because this is what, that's why I asked. When you look at a trumpet, can you define your feelings for it?
Not really, until I touch it. See, I couldn't play this.
What's wrong with it?
It's too heavy and it's too trumpety.
Could we show you something in a flute?
No, but I mean, I couldn't do nothing with this.
No.
And it doesn't match my jacket.
All right. We'll be back with more with Miles Davis right after this. Hi, we're back with Miles Davis. Miles, someone told me that you play your music differently in different parts of the world. That, you know, you might play a little differently in Japan, then you play in Sweden, then you play in South America. Is that basically true?
Yeah, for instance, Rio de Janeiro, we played there for 3 days. Those people are full of rhythm. You know, they're like black people. They're full of rhythm. And they almost memorized our whole set.
Yes.
And then we went from there to Germany. And going from there to Germany is like playing handball with the Drapes. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You're a little bit into the deep freeze there, huh?
Well, you know, just like this.
How about
No fizz.
Japan? How about Japan? What's it like playing there?
They love music, all kinds.
And also, I've heard you're fascinated by Japanese culture. I mean, you wear basically kind of Japanese designed clothes, right?
Well, this is from Kevin Lemart in New York. But one of my good friends, Isemiyake,
Yeah.
and what's his name? Koshin Soto. He always gives me, wear this, Miles, wear this, Hong Kong, wear this. He made 2 jackets for me, you know, with metal. Yeah.
Yeah.
He made the jacket I wore on the Grammys.
Yeah. That's great. Miles, you got into painting at somewhere along the line. We've got some of your things that we can put up and look at. What got you into painting?
My father, I guess he figured if I was going to be a dental surgeon like he was, I should learn how to use my hands.
But you're already using your hands. I mean, even as you sit here now, you're using your hands just to keep the fingers loose. So I want to call for the videotape so we can look at that of some of your paintings. But your father gave you a trumpet. Your mother gave you a violin for your 13th birthday. What if your mother had prevailed?
It wouldn't have made any difference.
I know. This is the first of your paintings. You generally work with what? Watercolor sketches.
What can I say?
You can see it right there.
I don't know what that is.
But you did it because it had your name on it.
Is there a bigger screen you can... Oh, yeah.
We got another one coming along here. When I opened these up, go to video again. When I opened the paintings up in the office and I took them out of the big box, I spread them out. Lloyd, our director, said, "That's a jazz mind." And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. I don't know. I mean, how?
I know what it means. It means that the figures have rhythm.
Yeah.
You know, I draw dancers like it.
Yeah.
You know.
We have another one of those things ready to go. We can take a look at. All right, here. Here we go again.
It's upside down.
It's upside down.
Yeah.
Just go to your set
No.
and reverse the angle.
That's okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay.
You got it?
You see that leg sticking up there?
It's my leg.
No. Your leg's the wrong color.
There was a period, Miles, in the late 70s when you were really ill. You had, what, 2 broken legs?
They wasn't broken. I had 2 fractured ankles, but not a broken
Parts of
leg.
your legs broken. And I heard you had some bone disease or something like that. But the point I'm getting at is...
It just, my hip just did that and stopped. You know, I had 2 operations. And the first one was 7 years from the second one.
Right.
And they went in and it collapsed. And so they put a new one in.
But there was this period, like, for about 4 years when you were away from the instrument.
Yeah.
And you came back with that album, Man with a Horn, which was like great comeback album of the year, people said. What was it? I mean, I read that you said you didn't even miss playing. What was it that got you back?
One day Dizzy came over. Dizzy goes. One day Dizzy came over. Dizzy goes. He said, "What the fuck are you doing here?"
I mean, just kind of sitting there, not doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, "You're supposed to be. What's wrong with you?" Yeah. I said, "Man, get out of my house." He said, "Well, if you know Dizzy." So I thought about it, you know. And I started back to playing.
For sure.
Yeah.
How do you attribute? I mean, when you play the trumpet, you speak with a sound, you speak with a tone, totally different than any other player. How do you attribute that you can hear Miles Davis anywhere on any record and you say, that is Miles Davis? How did that happen? How did that happen that way?
First place, you have to hold long notes for days, hours. And I used to go on my father had a large farm.
Yeah, outside of St.
Yeah,
Louis.
it's gentleman farm. So we had a lake, and I used to practice that.
Playing out over the lake?
Yeah, because the water makes the sound carry, but you have to hear your sound. I used to ask Dizzy, I said, why is it that I can't play like you? He said, you play the same thing I do, but you play it in the lower register. My sound comes from also my instructor, Elwood Buchanan in St. Louis. I used to love the way he would hold a horn. It's the look. You have to get that look first.
Well, when we see you holding a horn, you're holding, it's a down. That's what when I see Miles Davis, it's like that back posture, and then the horn seems to be going down.
Yeah, right. I can't play
I thought
nothing.
that's what I've been saying all these years. I want to ask you about two other artists, very different great black artists, Prince and Duke Ellington. All right? Your thoughts on Prince, your impressions of him as an artist.
I think Prince is one of America's greatest poets. Now, today, and he's like a genius. He is a genius. The fact that he can write those many words, those lyrics, one of his songs could be a book, you know. And I told him, I said, Prince, you know you have a lot of Charlie Chaplin in you. You ever see Charlie?
Sure. What did he say?
He just smiles. He just smiles, you know.
I read that he sent you a letter, signed it God.
Right.
That's what I heard. All right, now, Duke Ellington. We have just a very early film clip here. If you want to just check out the monitor, just a few seconds of Duke Ellington, and then your thoughts on Duke Ellington. Your impressions and the effect that Duke Ellington may or may not have had on you, Miles Davis.
Well, in St. Louis, the only record we had that my mother got was Duke Ellington, and she had Duke and something else she had. But I didn't know my mother could play piano until I was about 26.
The well-kept secret.
I forgot my grandmother taught organ, because I just tuned my grandmother out. Every time I used to pass by her, she would to pick up my brother, right?
Yeah.
She'd pick him up. He never did hit the ground till he was about 4.
So anyway, wait a second. Hold it. I want to hear about the Duke Ellington. Any special?
Well, they had MJ Blues that was written for Jimmy Blanton. He was from St. Louis. That's the only one she had. And this is how they used to play. Oompa, oompa, oompa. But Duke, he's responsible for the way Gil writes, Gil Evans.
Gil Evans, who did.
You can never match that sound that he had.
That's that tonality that I was talking about when I was trying to describe, the different phases of Miles Davis. When you talk about that kind of blue and the quiet nights, that tonality is brilliant.
Well, this comes from Duke. You know, he doubled the lead. You know, the lead saxophone.
Mm-hmm.
He used to double the lead.
This is what we're going to do. We have a few gifted trumpet players from the Philadelphia public school system. We're going to play a little bit in the next segment, and they each have a question for Miles Davis. We'll be back right after this. Isn't that pretty? That's directed by Spike Lee. That's a music video to Tutu, and this is the album, which is a terrific album. Nice shot of you, Miles, on the cover here. You mentioned before about Dizzy Gillespie. Dizzy was like a mentor to you in the early days in New York, right?
Yeah, Dizzy and Clark Terry.
Clark
Roy
Terry
Eldridge.
from St. Louis.
Harry James.
You were actually Charlie Parker's roommate for a while. No? There's that. See how this stuff, I read that like 3 places. You weren't his roommate.
They can tell you read it.
Yeah, well. That's true. I mean, I wasn't there at the time. I had to read
We
it.
were just in the same building.
Ah.
The room cost $8 a week. And I told him about the room because it was a placement place from Juilliard.
Yeah, because you're at Juilliard.
So he got one.
Anyway, we got a little tape here of Dizzy Gillespie in action. Then I'll show you what we're up to with we had young Miles in the wings. So Miles, if he was your mentor, how come your cheeks don't do that?
Because I started off, my instructor showed me how to play non-pressure, no, just like that. Dizzy asked me to teach him how to do like that. I said, "You kidding? Wait."
They want to change it.
No, he asked me about 10 years ago about that.
Have you taught many people to play the trumpet?
I used to give lessons when I was about 14 to a little fat guy. His mother wanted him to be in the band.
All right, we have a fellow here. He's 13 years old. He's in Philadelphia Public School System. His name is Jermaine McInnes, and his nickname is, come on out, his nickname is Little Miles. Come on out. coming. Now, you're the same age as Miles Davis was when Miles started to play. Do you have a question or anything you'd like to ask Miles?
That was my question, since he answered it.
Whoa! How old was he when he started,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. How did he sound, Miles?
He needs to practice. He knows how he sounds. He knows.
All right. I thank you.
She played in the key, the other key. She played in E flat. You played in D natural? Yeah.
Yeah. Miles is suggesting another key. All right, let me move on to
E flat.
E flat. All right, let me move on to our next fellow, who is Jasper Barron, who's going to do walking. He's 15 years old. Come on out. Thank you. Oh, Miles. What? Jafar Brown. Excuse me. Thank you. You're 15 years old. Is there anything that you'd like to ask Miles about trumpet or whatever?
What are you going to be doing in the future?
Playing the trumpet. You mean on record?
What kind of music?
What kind of music?
Uh-huh.
The next album?
Right.
You ever hear an African group called Kasu?
No.
Where's Quincy?
We'll get Quincy, who's writing a biography on Miles.
It's an African group. They have a French, they're French anyway, they speak French. They have a French brass section, and it's African. So I told Marcus and Larry Black with Cameo to write a reggae, right? So we'll be doing that. He wrote one. And it has 2 words. There's some vocal with it.
Good. You going to do a rap song?
I just wrote one the other day.
Yeah, he's doing a rap song on the bus. I thank you, Jafar. All right. 18 years old. Here is Frederick Goodson. Hey, Frederick. Frederick Goodson. Also, I must say, I think we put you guys in kind of a difficult position here, and you're good to come in and do it. Frederick, what would you like to ask Mr. Davis?
I want to ask Mr. Davis, what direction does he think jazz music is going into? in music in general?
Well, it'll be more patches on the keyboard, synthesizers, and you have to match them, play against sounds. That's where it's going.
Playing against sounds. I'm fascinated to see in this Tutu album that Marcus Miller is playing most of the instruments, and there's a tremendous amount of electronic layering, right, on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, just a record is like an adverse. It's like an advertised thing. It doesn't. You play it much better in person.
All right. One final fella, John Swana. John. Hey, John. Something you'd like to ask Miles?
Have you heard about the new electric valve instrument? The Akai? The EVI?
The new electric.
The trumpet?
They hook it up to the keyboard?
No, it's like...
yeah, they gave me two of those.
What's that?
Japanese company.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave me a bunch of stuff.
Do you have to play it? I mean, do you actually blow through it?
Yeah, you blow through it.
What's your organ player's name?
The organ player here? Let's actually take a minute and meet the man. I thank you very much. We got Joey DeFranco on keyboards. Hi, Joey. How you doing? And on drums, we got Stacy Dozier in the back. And Christian McBride on bass. When we return, I'm going to introduce you to Maurice Hines, who's been working for the past year of his life on the Louis Armstrong musical Satchmo. We're going to talk about Louis Armstrong right after this. We'll be right back. Thank you. When we were putting together the show, I kept saying, I want to hear Miles Davis talk a little bit about Louis Armstrong, and just a little.
I don't know anything about him.
Similar instrument. And also, Maurice Hines, who's a good friend of mine, has been choreographing the Satchmo musical, which got some good reviews, got some mixed reviews. It's a musical Louis Armstrong. Actually, as we'll find out, it's kind of written by Louis Armstrong. We'll find out about that. Let's have a nice welcome for a great dancer, choreographer, and future star of the Sid Caesar show on CBS, Maurice Hines. Hey,
How you doing?
good to see you. When did you first meet Miles Davis?
Well, we were both very young, Miles. We were both babies. A long, long time ago. It's always a pleasure to see him and hear him. And I was thinking how wonderful for these young men and to meet him. Because when I first met my idol, which was Fayard Nicholas of the Nicholas Brothers,
That's right.
I couldn't believe that I was meeting this man with these hands.
Yeah, it's true. I'm sitting over here casually watching these guys play the trumpet, and then it really occurred to me.
Oh,
what
it's
this
terror.
must mean.
It's almost terror.
Yeah.
What am I going to ask about Davis? I can imagine what they went through.
Well, let's focus on what the last year of your life or so and Louis Armstrong. We have just a little bit of Louis Armstrong playing, and then we'll get into what you've been doing on a musical stage.
Sure. Wonderful.
Louis Armstrong. No, that's basically the only clip we could get of Louis
Really?
Armstrong playing. Yeah.
That's
at
good.
this
I
point.
must say this first.
Say it.
I have to say it because it's about Miles. When I first was exposed to his music as really focusing in on it was Bitches Brew.
Ah.
And I remember my father was the drummer at that time. He used to bring all and exposed Gregory and I to great music. And I remember every time, and we were working the Apollo a lot at that time as a dance team, everybody would try to analyze, over-analyze. Well, you know, Miles is into this, and Miles is yeah. I never could get into that. I got how he made me feel.
Me too.
That's how, I didn't want to say, this is what he did, and this is what he was feeling when he played. I don't know the man. I don't know what he was feeling. But I know how it made me feel. You know what I'm talking about?
I got it, totally.
And it's still the same. You know, James? So when we were doing research on Louis' music, they did that with Louis too. You know, people come up to you and they say, well, you know, Louis was feeling good this day and that's why he played that way. Please, that was back in the 30s. What do I know? So, but when I hear like Tutu and everything, automatically I think of how it makes me feel movement-wise. And I'm going to do a ballet about Miles, is what I'm going to do. For sure. It'll either be for Ailey, because with Satchel, I've gotten all this, they're comparing me to Jerome Robbins, and so now I'm getting these offers. And I'm watching it, and you know how Miles
You the black Jerome Robbins?
You believe that? I wish I said Ailey. Alvin Ailey would have been better.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? I haven't. So, but you see where Miles stands?
Yeah.
I mean, right away, you're inspired as a choreographer to do that whole
Hey,
thing.
we can put some music on and you can try it out now if you want.
Oh no, it's all in my mind.
I see.
You know, it's all in my mind how he makes you feel.
You have to
And
have
that's,
something,
you know,
have something to match it with.
that's right. You got
You
to
can't
go
do
and
it.
do research. You
No.
got to listen to everything.
I'm just
But he
kidding
does.
about that.
Now with Louis, what's wonderful about Satchmo is that I wouldn't get involved with the project, as you know me,
Yeah.
if it wasn't done with integrity in class. That's why I don't work a lot, because I'm offered a lot of things without integrity in class. So I don't work a lot. So, but this did. And the reason why is that Lucille had...
That's Louis Armstrong's wife.
Armstrong's wife. She had seen a movie version of Armstrong that ABC had done, and she thought he was portrayed as an Uncle Tom, and she refused to do anything with anybody else.
You know, that's somebody asked me, did I want to see this? Did I see the show?
Mm-hmm.
But I was afraid that was going to come up.
I know.
But they don't realize that Louis was doing that when he was around his friends. You know,
That's
he was
right.
acting the same way.
Uh-huh.
But when you do it in front of white folks and try to make them enjoy what you feel, that's what he was doing, right?
Right.
They call him Uncle Tom.
Yes, they had all these phrases about the man, which was so wrong to put on him. Well, she had Louis taped everything. She had 1,000 tapes that no one had ever heard of Louis just talking about his life. That she gave to Jerry Bullock, the writer who wrote the show, 6 months before she passed away. It took him 2 years to talk with her and for her to trust him.
I would bet that the script that comes out of that is in a way unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, people
So
can't
unbelievable.
believe
They
it.
think it's fiction.
That
Because people didn't know that Louis, way before everybody else did it, talked about the government with the segregation in Little Rock, in Arkansas. In Arkansas. And that was during Eisenhower. See, people, they have no idea about Louis. All this idea, like you said, they like when white people looked at him, they thought he was Uncle Tom.
So they
That's
think
the way he always
they
was.
think it's revisionist, but it's basically his words.
That's right.
We got a video, a clip of your choreography.
Oh.
And who's playing Louis?
Oh, Byron Stripling. Do you know Byron?
No, I don't think so.
He came from playing first chair at the Count Basie band and was in
Oh,
Clark
yeah?
Terry's band. And he loves Clark, as I do. And of course, I heard Miles talking about it with me.
All right, let's
Which is
take a look.
mental.
This is from Satchmo.
Well, I don't even know what number you're doing.
Well,
here,
we'll
baby.
see right now. All right, Dustin Satchmo is coming to the Forest Theater the second week in November.
You through with me already?
No, not yet. Miles, did Louis Armstrong have any artistic impact on you at all?
Yeah, you can hear my tone and tell. Louis and Roy, or Elvis, yeah. And Dizzy. Dizzy like Roy, and Roy must have liked Louis. It goes on down, you know. And Roy probably like, who's the trumpet player? I can't remember his name. But it goes on down the line,
Like
if you back it up, you know.
It's like
I like Dizzy and Clark Terry.
I was a Clark Terry fan. I
Yeah.
loved Clark
Yeah,
Terry.
he's what plays the flugelhorn.
Yes, I loved him. And a wonderful person, too. I just saw Sweets, too, recently.
Yeah.
Sweets Anderson, yeah. Play at the Blue Note. He was down there.
Well, Maurice, you know, when I talked to you on the phone about this over the weekend, I said, is there anything that you have been wondering about Miles Davis in your life? For a question.
You know, when you told me that, I said,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to try to manufacture this. No, you know, because I don't wonder about his personal life at all. And I don't wonder why he plays the way he does. I just enjoy it because, like I said, it makes me feel something.
me too.
And I don't want to know how he gets it or why he gets it.
Well, you played drums when I first met you.
No, Gregory played.
And Greg was
I was
playing
into
drums.
trying to play the vibes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because Lionel Hampton gave me a set of vibes. So I was into playing that. And then, but I found myself, because I loved musicians, because I liked the way they made me feel. I was happy around them. We worked at the Apollo for many, many years with Willis Jackson and all these bands, and worked with Count Basie and Duke, and they made me feel good. But mine manifests itself in movement.
Absolutely.
So that's really, like in Satchmo, there's a ballet about how Louis loved one-night stands. So we do a ballet where Byron plays, and the dancers portray all these different ballrooms that he played in. And that's what I try to, you'll see it, you'll love it.
I'm looking forward to it. It's coming to Forest Theater in March. I
End of November.
End of November.
In November.
You'll be back then. We'll have more time then. But I want to take a break because I want to see if we can squeeze in one or two audience questions for Miles Davis after this, okay?
Yeah.
Maurice, thank you.
My pleasure.
We'll return right after this. Thank you. Wait. First, moving fast, as many audience questions as possible. Do you like the All-City Jazz Trio, Miles?
Yeah.
Very good.
Right.
Very good. All right. Questions, as many as we can get. Keep them simple. Wait. First up, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Miles who was his favorite all-time sideman,
Simon.
including Bird.
Mine. I don't know, man. I can't answer that.
All right, next question. That's understandable. Yeah.
All I want to say, Miles, is this. You're in beautiful health. We heard rumors you were sick. You look well. And you're an American art form in itself. And we love you.
Oh, thank you.
I'd like to ask Miles if he saw the movie Round Midnight, and if he has, was that an accurate depiction of jazz musicians during that era?
I didn't see it because it's depressing.
Well, that's
But
understandable.
there's a story about Bud Powell. But it happened to Lester Young. It happened to a lot of musicians. It's just the alcohol, that's all. You know,
Relatively accurate depiction, I think. All right, question over here. Yeah.
Yes, I would like to know will you be doing any more guest shots on television?
like what?
Like the Miami
Like
Vice
Miami
thing?
Vice or anything in that nature? Because I think he was great, you know, in Miami Vice.
They sent me a lot of scripts. I can't remember whether they want me to write the music or act in it, but if it's all right, you know, if I could do it. I just did one with, I don't even know the name of it.
All right, we'll see it at some point. Thanks. Now, there's a guy up here with a question. Yes, sir.
Yeah, could you make some sort of a comment of your memories about John Coltrane? Some memorable experience with
Big
him?
boogers out of his nose.
Somebody over here? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Mr. Davis who he turns to get reassurance for his music as an
Would I
artist.
do what?
Who do you turn to for criticism? Do you have someone you know?
What do you say?
To get reassurance from yourself besides your public. I mean, your public has an incredible
Like a
love for
sounding
you.
board. Do you have any
Right,
sounding board
right.
other than yourself for your work?
Right.
Oh no, the band.
The band?
They'll dictate to you what to play.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for questions. We're going to be back and wrap it up right after this. Time is going very quickly. We'll be right back. Bill Boggs. That man was Miles Davis, and that's how I met him. He saved the night for me, and you gave me a great show today, and I love you and thank you very much. Miles Davis. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Hit it, guys.